Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the webinar, Life of a Software Engineer in the Bay Area, brought to you by Sri Jayat Chamarajendra College of Engineering in association with WAV. So we have with us Dr. B.S. Harish, coordinator of SJCE Alumni Association. Sir, do you want to say hi to the students?
Hello friends, thanks for joining this webinar. Hopefully this webinar will be a very informative for the students who are really looking for the admission for your MS or post-graduation at the different parts of US. And Mr. Gagan, a proud alumni of SJCE, has completed his master's in CMU, will be sharing his experience. And on behalf of Sri Jayachamrajendra College of Engineering and the Alumni Association, I wholeheartedly thank Mr. Gagan, who has made his time to share his experience to all of you. So definitely it will be a great informative talk. I request every attendees to make use of this and ask as many number of questions to the speaker so that your doubts will be cleared. And also on the other side, I also thank the WOW for making these events a great success. So successively, this is the third webinar that is being conducted under SJC Alumni Association in association with WOW. So I thank you, Mr. Paresh and Mr. Bhageshri Madam for making this to happen. Thank you, Madam. Over to you, Bhageshri Madam.
Yes, thank you. So we have with us speaker of the day, Mr. Gagan Shivananda, who is a software engineer in the software-defined security team at Salesforce San Francisco, California, who is an alumnus of SJCE from the class of 2014. So let me introduce him to you first, guys. So Gagan has graduated engineering in computer science from SJCE in the year 2014. So after that, he has worked as a software engineer in Cisco for 3 years. Later, he went to the US to do his MS in information security from Carnegie Mellon University and graduated in the year 2019. Alongside of pursuing MS, he also worked as a software engineering intern in Salesforce for 4 months and as a graduate research assistant at Carnegie Mellon University. Soon after graduating MS, he has joined Salesforce and worked as a software engineer, and now he has become the senior software engineer. So before I hand over the mic to the speaker, I would like to inform the attendees that an e-certificate shall be issued to all those who have stayed for 80% of the webinar. And also attendees can use the Q&A section to ask any questions. They'll be answered at the end of the session. Yeah, over to you, Gagan.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Bhageshri and Harisha, for providing this opportunity and also introducing me to the audience.
You can turn on your video, I guess.
Oh, okay, sure. It says unable to start the video. Okay, there you go. And is it okay to share my screen too?
Yes.
Okay, cool. Great. Everyone can see my screen, I believe. Right?
Yeah. You can go on, Gagan.
Okay, cool. Good evening, everyone. It's nice to meet you, at least virtually, after a long time. And I just wanted to know, a few things before going. I don't know whether we can do it virtually or not, but I would just like to hear a shout out for just a couple of questions. First thing would be like, it's just a crowd check, guys. Just want to know how many of you are in the third and the fourth year of engineering? Is there a way to know that virtually, or it's fine if that's not the case too?
So we'll just give permission to attendees, right? So they can post their answers down in chat option.
Yeah, chat option should also be fine. That's totally fine. Anyway, no problem whatsoever. Okay, let's start. Before actually starting, knowing about what I need to talk today, I discussed this thing with a few of my friends and my family members, as their suggestions and tips to what to say and how to go with this. The first suggestion that came from my mom was that, don't use any swear words. These are your juniors. Take care of them pretty well. That's one thing. And my dad, my dad made a joke and he said, like, this is festive season. Always make sure that, wish all of them. So, Ellarigu Ganesha Chaturthiya Shubhashayagalu. I think you guys have had a pretty daunting COVID and other stuff, but festive seasons are always helpful to, cheer up. And another thing, I asked my friend, a couple of friends, and one of them just said this one: join the webinar at the right time. The most basic thing that anyone can do is to join the webinar at the right time. I hope everything is fine and will be going super fast from now on. Okay, starting with my presentation. And also, I would like to keep this very interactive. I'm not so familiar with whether the chat option is available or whether you can talk in between, but feel free to post questions on the chat and we can answer, we can take over and I can try my best to answer them. With that, I would like to start with a disclaimer that all the stories or the anecdotes or opinions and derivations, these things that I would be talking in the next few minutes are solely based on my experience and whatever I've seen through my pair of eyes, right? So I've had a kind of journey so far. I just want to share certain highlights of the journey and certain learnings that I thought would be helpful, might be helpful for for any junior who wants to take a similar path. And the last person that I asked about was my sister. She is almost of your age, and her thing was make it as visual as possible and make it not so boring. So brace yourself. I'm a 2014 pass out, so some old silly memes are coming ahead. Okay. With that, let's go with the first one. Okay. This is something which I learned so far, and the most important thing that I would say is always stick to the basics, right? And you might have heard about the stick to the basics almost everywhere. I would just like to elaborate more on that based on my experience and based on whatever I have seen so far. Okay. Just a second. And I'm an avid cricket lover, right? So I love cricket a lot. This stick to the basics is something that I heard for the first time by some cricketers. Like if you see Dhoni says, it's very important to stick to the basics. Sachin Tendulkar, the legend, says it's very important to stick to the basics. Even West Indies were able to stick to the basics and were successful. Even at the end, Pakistan also needs to stick to the basics, right? And irrespective of whether it is T20 cricket or Test cricket, whatever it is, sticking to the basics is what many of them say. But what does it mean? Let's try to figure it out, right? Before that, before actually uncovering this sticking to the basics thing, I would like to give a small primer of what happened when a normal software engineer like me working in Bangalore wanted to go and study masters in say Carnegie Mellon University. It was the first semester, and I think it's something that is experienced by many of us. It started with the miserable life of cramming to meet this weird deadline, 11:59 p.m. deadlines. So to elaborate a bit more, in universities like say Carnegie Mellon or any other universities in US, The grading system works like relatively, and most of your grading is based on the assignments that you do, the projects that you work on. And all of these projects have this weird 11:59 p.m. deadline. It happens every week and every semester. So you will have to take 2 to 3 courses based on your course load. And all the 3 courses will have this 11:59 p.m. deadline on a particular day in a week. Now, what is miserable about this is that if at least in my case, I was zero prepared. Okay, so when I completed my software engineering work at Cisco, so I used to work for Cisco before. I only had like 10 days of downtime. I completed my job on August 4th, and I had to fly on August 13th. So with just 10 days of time, I didn't have much to prepare. I didn't know what to expect. It was totally wrong on my part, but no, universities are universities, right? So it started in September, and it started hitting me down pretty hard with 3 courses, with all the assignments just piling up, and time management was the most important thing at that time, which I clearly lacked. And that's why it became a miserable cramming situation. I had to work till like 3 a.m. in the night, 5 a.m. in the night to make both the ends meet. And the most important and the most annoying problem that I always used to face was deadlines, right? If you see, nobody would say like Johnny Depp there, I love deadlines. I like to wave at them when they pass by, right? Or it's like it was the single most motivation thing for all of us, and it's a hard truth. If you see, thing kept people at nights for assignments because of deadlines, right? And this 11:59 p.m. On the bold 11:59 p.m. it is still haunting me. It's like a nightmare, right? At least for the first semester. So that was the situation. And coming back to the sticking to basics, right? What basics that I tried to stick on, so that helped me to cope up with this deadlines and cope up with the courses, and also be a little bit successful, right? I would just like to go with them now. I would spread them as anecdotes. I would like to explain them with certain scenarios and examples that are truly based upon my story, right? So the first thing was, don't panic. That's what I learned. Dive a bit deep, because the devil is in the details. It's a very cliche statement. Anyone would say that devil is in the details, but it is as cliche as it is pretty much true. Okay. And for that, let me explain with an example. In my first semester, I think you would have seen this segmentation fault every time whenever you went to labs, or whenever you're working on your Linux based projects or any small program, right? You're writing a C program or a C++ program. If something goes wrong somewhere, you would hear this most irritating thing that comes out of your say compiler after compiling the runtime, which just says segmentation fault. It doesn't even show you where it happened, how it happened. It just come up. At least at in my time, we didn't have this intelligent IDEs, so it was pretty hard for us to see where is it faulting, right? So, the funny thing, roses are red, pointers are easy. That's what they say. But always be aware of segmentation fault. Now, the most important detail that I looked into, that also that was given to me by my profs, my friends in CMU, it was look into the details. Don't have to panic. there is something called as GDB, the debugger. Open it up. It is saying something called code dumped, right? So the code dump has so much resource, which would tell you each and every detail of where this is having the problem, your program is having the problem, up to your register level. It gives you, it is like a dissecting machine. It dissects each and every piece of your register, of your code, where the data is moving and what is your flow, where did it crash. So without knowing that, I was cramming. I was like going here and there, trying to fix the code in a different way, try to debug it in a different way without actually going into deep, actually using the tools, right? So the thing that I learned was use the right tool to solve the right problem. Always try to go a bit deep, because again, devil is in the details. And to add more, I would like to share the story of two great people, at least according to me. These two are, one is Jeff Dean, the other one is Sanjay Gemawat. So this duo has had a biggest impact in all of our lives, because they work for Google. They are the most distinguished engineers in Google. And if you ask me how Google was started, how Google became so huge, it's because of these two. And why? Because they were the inventors of Google indexing, the search engine, the Google file system, and now recently the Google Brain. So they are behind all these Google products. And there was one story that we in CMU had to have a case study about. So we had this, I have put it as a reference. So we, as a part of our case study, we used to read their papers written by them. There are a lot of papers written by them, research papers. And one of them was pretty interesting. And the story goes like this. It was in early 2000s when there was this bubble. Google was booming, internet bubble was there, but Google was struggling pretty hard. They were just like 3 to 4 guys in their team. It was just another startup. And at that time, their indexing was pretty bad, very slow, and their search was super damn slow. These two were there in their team. What they did was they took this system, it was a set of distributed system. They took the system and started debugging. They call it war room. If something happens in companies like say Google or anywhere, they call a war room. It's a room where all the engineers join and start working only on that problem, whatever the problem, intended problem to be solved, right? So these two started. They just to tell you how important the details are. They converted every index file till the bit level, the binaries, zeros and ones. Okay, and to solve the problem at scale, they said that you have to know the smallest details, and it's a paradox. This is a scale problem, but if you want to solve this one, you need to go and dissect every bit. And they did so. They dissected every bit, and finally found out that this is not a software problem. This is the time at which they have hit a hardware limit. So their hardwares were failing everywhere because their data was so huge, and there was no way they could have solved this problem without putting more hardware. And how did they get to know? They went into deep. And if people who were in Google who went into this depth, if they are emphasizing this, I think it's really important for us to at least to go and check GDB if there's a seg fault, if not to the bit level, at least to the register level. And that was one of my biggest learnings from Carnegie Mellon. going forward, the next one. It's so silly, but it is again another important thing. That was read the goddamn manual. What do I mean by manual? You guys are very familiar with Linux, Unix kind of systems, I believe, right? And there is this man page everywhere, right? So it so happens that in this field, at least, there is at least 40 years worth of work that is being done already given to you. There are a lot of toolboxes that are given to you. Like in a very simple sense, very simple example would be like your data structures, right? I would consider them, your data structures, as toolboxes, because there are different tools to solve different problems. If you want to use stack, you can solve a set of problems, right? In the same way, if you want to use queue, you can solve a different set of problems. But it all depends on the choices that you make. And how do you make choices? If you know what are all these tools, then you can make the right choice to use the right data structure, right? Similarly, in Linux world, there are different commands like ls, sed, awk. These are all again tools. And if you know the right tool, you can solve the problem in a pretty easy way, right? And how do you know what is the right tool? The best thing is to read the goddamn manual. You have given a big toolbox. The first thing that you would do is to see and read what is the manual. See what tool can be used to solve what use case, right? So again, man pages, like it's universally used, universally acclaimed, that without man pages, it would have been very difficult to solve the biggest problems. And this Linux documentation, this was my friend throughout my CMU. At least even now, I would say, because without this, in Carnegie Mellon or any other university here, you're not allowed to Google. Stack Overflow is not your friend because of all the plagiarism reasons. There is no way you can Google around or get code from anywhere. It all depends on these kind of man pages and these kind of resources that give you the recipe to solve any problem. Okay, next one. This is what I learned during my job search in CMU. Very particular to the placements. Before going, what is this? What I learned was know your strength and learn to market them. I would say just knowing your strength would not solve, because you will have to learn how to market, because the market is pretty competitive, right? Let me just give you an example. So placement scenes, right? When I was in JCE, thanks to the placement cell, the companies used to come to the college, conduct an interview, take 1 day and give an offer right there, right? I am a living example for that. When I interviewed for Cisco, they came at around 8 a.m. in the morning, and by midnight, I had the offer in my hand. That's how it works. It pretty much works everywhere in India, where people go to the companies go to the campus, conduct interviews, and if maybe a couple of companies can call you for another on call or something like that, but most of them would offer you right there. But with the same expectation, I went to CMU. I mean, you know this on the left-hand side, you know that scene from Three Idiots, that iconic scene. And I can shamelessly say that Three Idiots is something that motivated me to join engineering in the first place. But unfortunately, the expectation is not that. If you see on the right-hand side, that's the reality. And this is a picture taken by me in Carnegie Mellon. It's called a technical fair, where companies actually come. If you can see, there are booths. These are some booths. This is like fair, literally fair. I mean, if guys who know Kannada, this is Jatre, right? If you can see, there are so many people waiting in a line, holding their resumes, standing in front of each and every booth. And if there's a company that is famous, the line is larger. And I would say probably this is the first and last time I saw so many people under the same roof. Because of COVID, you can't see any 6 feet distance there, right? So what happens in this kind of scenario is that you will have maximum of 30 seconds to a minute to market yourself, to talk about what you have done so far. You would have spent 2 years in your master's, you would have spent 4 years in your engineering, say if you put some 3 years of work experience. So 7 to 8 years of work, you just have to tell them in 30 to 40 seconds. And the biggest tool that you will have is your resume. Other than that, there is nothing else, right? In such a scenario, and also, please notice that how many people are there and how many people who are, all of them are seeking for job, right? All of them would be giving their 30 to 40 seconds pitch. It was so noisy, so sweaty, so annoying and so irritating, but still you will have to present yourself. So here, what I personally felt was, the first day when I went, it was like for 2 days. The first day when I went, I miserably failed everywhere because I was trying to market something which I was not completely sure of. I wanted to do, just to give you an example, I wanted to do something more on machine learning, but I didn't have any experience with. I had taken courses, I had one research paper relating to that, but still, I had no experience on that. But if I don't have anything on my resume, if I hadn't tailor-made my resume to show those experiences on machine learning, but I had a lot of experience with my security, distributed systems, those kind of work, because my work experience also aligns to that. Now, and I was totally wrong in the way that I wanted to market myself, because I thought, since I want to do machine learning, let me go and talk to those people who are working on machine learning and try to get an internship or a job in that field, which was a total flop for me. And that's the hard reality, because people want something from you, and they would be expecting your entire work or entire experience totally aligned to what they want. You might be a great fit for machine learning, but if that company doesn't have a role for machine learning, you're just rejected, right? So the next day, what I made was, I decided what is my strong point, and I tailor-made my resume to showcase those strong points. I tailor-made my pitch. We call it elevator pitch for 30 seconds to 40 seconds elevator pitch. I tailor-made that, and boom, I had 5 to 6 calls within a day. And yeah, that's the power of aligning your work, making yourself marketable. You don't actually have to overdo it. And here people love and respect honesty, trust. So they trust you, and they, if you have the substance, there is no one stopping you. If such is the case, I would, this is what I learned, try to align your strong points and tailor make your resume or whatever the elevator pitch that you're trying to give. You would definitely see the results. Okay, going to the next one. This is more of non-technical, but this is the transition that I had to make when I completed my CMU journey and I wanted to join Salesforce. Salesforce is one of the cloud-based companies here in Bay Area. So I'm still working for them. And what I learned was the next very important tool is self-sustenance, living by yourself. I think this is a decision that I made to live alone. I'm living alone. If you can see, this is my studio. It's a very small studio. And if you want to make this decision anytime in your life, I would say it's worth taking it. It's a journey by itself. Why? Because it'll make you self-sustenance. Because when I was in India, I never used to cook. I never used to even make I never used to know how to make a coffee. It was my mom who was feeding me every time and everywhere. Even when I went to my work in Bangalore, I used to go and eat outside. But when I came here, it's really hard hitting. One is it's highly costly to go and eat everywhere on every day. And two, they're far. It's not like the transport systems here is not as great as India, to be very frank, right? So these people love to go with their big cars, and without cars, it's pretty hard here. Anyway, so that showed me how I should be self-sustenance. Now I I was like the first part of my life in Bay Area, like staying alone. I used to see I used to eat some chips, right? I used to see those chips packet lying around for like weeks together. Then I realized that there's no one who can pick that. I have to clean myself. It can't be like how can the house clean itself? It's dirty all the time. It can't be like that. And I think my mom would love this. When I started doing or learning how to cook, I started making them, experimenting them, and started loving it. And that gives you a confidence that if you are self-sustained, if you are confident that you can make your own food or be on yourself for at least a week or so, it would give you enormous confidence. Then the last one. This is where this is what I saw in the Bay Area, especially with the people here, the engineers here, right? Three things. One, they love to be playful. They are so passionate about computer science. They're so passionate about their work, be it whatever field. It need not be something as fancy as deep learning, or it need not be as boring as some DevOps work. They love everything. They love what they do. And they add that playfulness to the way they work. I would just give you some simple examples. Like right in my company itself, I have seen people coming to any debugging session with zero knowledge, knowing nothing about the problem, yet solve it by just looking at the things. Maybe they're it's based on their experience, but they won't give up until they find a solution. Be it late night, be it whatever, they won't give up until they get the solution. That's how passionate they are. They want to know more. They are curious about this. They want to know why this is causing the problem. They, again, as we were talking about Jeff Dean and Sanjay, they go into that deep. They go, if there is any problem with say two systems talking to each other, they put in everything, be it curl, be it telnet, netcat, whatever, to solve the problem. The thing is, the passion that they have and the playfulness they put, they just enjoy that. They enjoy their work. And what I learned from them was, if you enjoy your work, that it won't be stressful at all. Even if you're working for like 12 hours, 13 hours, if you love your work, that's enough. And another thing was being foolish. I think you might have heard of, I shamelessly copied it from Steve Jobs' statement, being hungry and stay hungry, stay foolish. It matters a lot, again, at least from my experience. Like, why do we need to be foolish? I think you guys might be familiar with this very famous Dunning-Kruger effect. What it basically says is, if it's a graph of confidence versus the knowledge that you have. So they observe that at any point in time, you would start with knowing nothing. And at that time, your confidence would be low for the obvious reasons. You know nothing, so the confidence is low. Now, when you start knowing something a little bit, the confidence grows and gets into this peak. And they call it the peak of stupidity. So at that moment, we would start thinking that I know everything. This happened to me when I went to Cisco. I thought I became totally complacent. I thought I know everything. I was like into networking. I wanted to be in networking. So I loved my work there. And I thought, okay, I'm cool. Let me be like this. But later on, I had a very humbling effect when I came to CMU and also here, which made me feel that, yes, I know nothing. And that is so true that everyone who gets into deep, goes deeper in any skill or in any subject, he would say, oh man, there's a lot to learn. There is a lot more to go. And they would follow this curve and they would start feeling less confident about uh, whatever they know based on the knowledge that they get. Finally, finally, they would start raising again. And there will be a slope of enlightenment and then the plateau of sustainability. So if we want to reach the plateau of sustainability, which means that at that point in time, you are both humble, confident about any subject that you know, and you are pushing yourself to know better, to know deeper. So if you want to reach that, the first thing is to get over with this. Get over with that. And how can you get over with this high level of confidence, knowing nothing? Is just try to be foolish. Ask the right questions. Be dumb. It doesn't matter to be, it's totally fine to be dumb. And it's totally fine to ask dumb questions. I mean, it's not that fine to ask, keep on asking the same dumb questions again and again. But any question, any naive question would be answered with the same amount of patience every time. And that's what I love about the engineers here. They take time to explain you each and every bit of the situation. And if they are willing to explain, you should be willing to go and ask them. So how? Try to be foolish. That's what I learned. And next thing, talking about curiosity, this is another thing which I was going through. As we see, there are we as a humanity, right? So we are here since, like, let's say 10,000 BC, sometime, right? And there comes some recorded history, something starting from 5,000 BC, some Mahabharata time. I'm just guessing, right? And then comes the Common Era, where we are here at 21st century, and just a part of it, like the last 40 years, is where a lot of innovations have happened in computer science, right? Before that, there are like thousands of years where we didn't know how to communicate with each other. We didn't know how systems work. We didn't know how to calculate. It's been, let's keep it for the 19th century, right? So a lot of things are changing this field. And if you see this one, there is something somewhere went terribly wrong. But isn't it good? And isn't it good for us that the last 40 years, people have done so many things in computer science, and we have reached an inflection point wherein we, the new engineers, we have to put more and try to use their knowledge, whatever they have already put, and make something big. So how can we make something big is being curious. I've seen people here talking a lot about stocks and shares and where they want to put it, where they want to put it. And believe it or not, they know all this IT related stuff. They're very curious about computer science. They know how and where a system can work, where a software can work, or where it cannot work. So try to be curious, try to see new things, and being curious would definitely help you to innovate. You would get all the opportunities and you can grab them. You don't have to say that, oh, I'm not getting any opportunity. Then I would say you're not being more curious. Again, this is something that I learned. If I sit just watching some Netflix for like streaming them for hours together, not being curious, I would just be making Netflix richer. But if I start, on the other hand, try to look at different textbooks, different articles, different scientific or non-scientific, then I'm being curious. I'm trying to learn new things. Some things from somewhere can come up, and that can be put into my work. That would definitely help me innovate things. Uh, yeah, being curious. I think I made my point here. Finally, like again, what am I trying to say is, as I said, sticking to the basics is what I learned, and those are the basics, at least as of now, that I have collected. It's a big journey. It's a lot more to learn, but I would say these 5 things would be good enough to start with. And more important thing is, it's always good to do the right thing. But one thing I learned again from CMU was, do the right thing and keep on doing it. If you do the right thing once, it wouldn't help us. If you keep on doing it persistently, that's what gonna be really effective. And finally, that's all I had actually to share. A big thank you for all of you, especially SJCE Alumni Association, Harish sir and Wav, for giving me this opportunity. I really are totally indebted to the SJCE community, and I would say whatever I said so far, whatever I shared, it's just from my seniors. My seniors did that to me, so I'm just doing it, passing the baton to you guys. With that note, here is my LinkedIn. If you guys want to connect with me, please feel free to. And we can have question and answer sessions from now on. Bhagishri, Harisha,
Yeah.
I'm done with mine.
That is a great session, Gagan. So let's take down the questions, and yeah, I request the students to post your questions in the Q&A section.
Sure.
So we have 2 questions. Okay, one from Dr. Lab Singh. So he's asking, what is your take on teaching faculty and facility in India? What do you expect to improve in teaching methods?
Oh, awesome! That's a super awesome question. I think we are doing great, but there is a gap that I see. The gap would be like here, at least in Carnegie Mellon, they are up to date till the last day with respect to any kind of technology. And for example, we had a subject called storage systems. Storage systems, if you are familiar with, it's a pretty old, and it's a pretty compensated system. It's a complacent system, right? But still, I mean to say, there are not a lot of hot research going on, especially when compared to, say, a fancier machine learning, right? So still people were, the profs were so up to date. They were attending all these conferences that happen internationally, know the things, the relevant things, the current things, and they used to come to the class and explain them. Like they used to have separate sessions and explain these things, like what they had seen from their conference, come and talk about that in the class. I think that would be great to always be upbeat, know what is happening in the field, and share it with the students. Plus, I don't know whether this is already there, but this one feature in CMU, which I felt was different and was very helpful for me, was the course structure design of certain courses, wherein there was one which didn't have any exam, but there were like 2 major projects. But the interesting thing was the class was a roundtable conversation. We used to go before the class, prepare and read research papers about the, again, hot topics, hot research papers. For example, as I was saying, there was one research paper about Google file system, how Google file system is built. So we used to go and we used to go, read that and go to the class and discuss the same in front of the prof. So the prof, the teaching assistant, everyone used to be there, involved in this discussion. It was like a 2-hour discussion. And we were like, never felt that, okay, it's a 2-hour one. It used to go in quick sessions. And it was highly, highly helpful because we used to get to know the different thought processing of students and also the professor. And the entire 3-month course was like that. We read around 40 to 50 research papers, and that helped a lot. It would be great if we have those kind of courses to at least start experimenting with.
Okay, so we have another question from Amna Khan. So she's asking, what is the key to make an amazing and unique resume for college student?
Okay, cool. So this is what is followed here in US. Try to have a single page resume, first and foremost thing. And if you make it bigger, like a 3, I'm telling you upfront, I have taken a couple of interviews. I will not read the second or the third page. Not only me, none of them, like most of them wouldn't read the second or the third page, right? So if such is the situation, if you want to have a single page resume, try to be succinct, try to remove unwanted stuff like all passive words, active words. You don't have to be, it's not a Shakespearean novel, right? Try to be as succinct and as small and sweet and small as possible. Showcase your most important projects, even if it is couple of them or 3 of them, it's fine. It's quality versus quantity. Quality taking the upbeat there. So try to prioritize this one. Have projects. Try to align it to whatever you're trying to, whatever job that your profile that you're trying to get. Like for example, what I did for my Cisco was when I was preparing resume for Cisco. And another thing, try to, again, tailor make your resume for a company and for the job profile. If you have, say, worked on 5 to 6 projects, and if the job profile says they want you for software development in networking field, then it would be obvious to put networking related projects that you have done rather than putting some web development, right? So only because this is a single page restriction. So for my Cisco, I did the same thing. I put the most important networking and operating systems projects that I was working on as my top in the list. And and another thing, since you're a student now, it is important to put your CGPA. Don't hide it. It's fine. Whatever CGPA, if you have it, just put it. And you don't have to, I have seen, I did this same mistake. I have seen people putting CGPA of all the semesters. I don't know if anyone would see that. Maybe people put it so that they want to show that they're consistent enough, but that would eat up your space, right? So try to be smart in these kind of things. Try to showcase more on your projects, less on these things, so that, it's a well-balanced resume. I did the same thing for Salesforce also. So after hitting it bad, I removed all my machine learning, whatever research that I have done, everything. I focused on my security and distributed systems, coursework, projects, and showcased them. So I would say tailor make your resume for the role that you're trying to.
Right. So we have another question from Sunil. So he says, I feel always I'm average student and I can't do anything and feel low when compared with others in my class. This is I'm experiencing in college. What's your suggestion on this?
Oh, my suggestion, I would say there is nobody's average. Okay, everyone has something in their mind, in some skill that they are super awesome about, right? uh, you just have to find the skill that comes very naturally to you, that is your instinct, right? I would again give the same example of this machine learning versus this say systems and security. I am a mediocre machine learning person. If I had taken any machine learning job, I would have become an average person. I mean, less than average, I would say. But the other word, the systems word, it's kind of natural to me. I kind of understand it. I kind of grasp it in a better way. I believe at least, and try to find your instinct. Try to find what suits you. Right? There are plenty of different fields like this. You don't actually have to go over which is go towards or go behind which is uh, termed fancy or termed trendy now, right? Everything in this field, computer science field, is brilliant. Try to find it. You're nobody's average. Okay, you can master it. uh, give it enough time, effort to master it. Once you know that this is your natural instinct.
Okay, we have Sabit Athavanad asking, tell me some important tips to shine in industry as a software engineer.
Oh, cool. Again, going along the same lines, uh, if you again you know this joker thing, right? If you know something, don't do it for free, right? Similarly, if you once you figure out that this is your natural instinct, don't leave it. Just go deeper. And I'm not kidding. I've seen people who respect you regardless of your age, regardless of where you have come, if you know your basics and if you know it in deep. So again, I can give you an example wherein I work with people who are extremely brilliant, top notch in their fields, but they are totally dumb in another field. There are people who are great in their security domain. For example, they have in Kannada ardu kudidu biಟ್ಟಿದ್ದಾರೆ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳ್ತಾರಲ್ಲ, ಹಂಗೆ they have taken everything with in that domain, and that's how they shine. So if you know things more than the other people in your employment stage, you would obviously shine. So, and also you don't actually have to know everything from every field. Again, try to see which one suits you, which one is which is your interest, and please go in depth, know end to end. I know you will then start feeling that I don't know anything, but that is the time, again, about going back to that Dunning-Kruger effect, right? That is the time when you will think that, okay, I'll go deeper. Then at the end, you would have that sustainability and also would help you shine.
Okay, we have a question from Rakshit. So he's asking, what would you recommend students graduating now who aspire to do higher education abroad about preparing for grading and course structure in other countries?
Oh, sure. That's a great question, actually, which I totally missed. As I said, I had only 10 days. If you guys have time, I would say do a couple of things. One, try to see the assignments. The assignments would be posted. Okay, that those things are public. So whatever universities that you're trying to go, try to see, and also the course. Decide on the course that you are planning to take well before. Look into your specialization, because you're trying to do masters, right? Specialization in masters is a very good value. It's an added value, right? So cut down your courses and try to see the assignments of those courses and try to solve them. That would give you a good enough time to see one, your appetite, could you take in? And two, it would also prepare you. That's like a primer. It would prepare you. It would best prepare you to adjust to the scenario, the environment, which I clearly lacked when I started. And the second thing that I would say is, if you are looking for, say, jobs, or if you're interested in joining a company after your master's, you guys would probably know Geek for Geeks or Lead Code. My strong suggestion is to solve Lead Code questions before joining your master's. I'm not kidding. That would definitely help you grab the best opportunities in a very earlier stage. So you don't have to worry about your jobs. You would rather focus on your research or your master's program, learn more, and succeed.
Great. So Nagaveni is asking, is experience necessary for masters?
Necessarily not. It need not. It would help you, but it need not be. There is no hard and fast rule that you need to have experience. And I kind of thought that I waited long, so I had 3 years of experience. I really didn't want to have 3 years of experience. I could have gone with 1 year, the first one, because most of the learnings in my Cisco experience was within the first 2 years. So with respect to experience, I wouldn't say that would that's a necessary thing, but it would be very helpful while finding jobs. Like as I said, if you have experience in that field and if you can show that in your resume, then you will get better calls. But I have seen my friends who directly came from universities, their bachelor universities, and getting pretty good jobs and doing pretty well in their master's program.
Cool. We have a question from Sunil. He's asking what to tell in strength and weakness, and tell me about yourself in HR round.
Okay, that's a difficult question. Okay, so let me try to remember what I did. So strength and weakness, right? I would say be honest. Don't try to cook up things. And it's a very good thing that you're asking now before itself, because it's pretty hard to cook up these kind of things right there. And I'm always against this cooking up stories. Try to be honest. If you have a weakness, there is nothing wrong, because everyone is imperfect. Okay, there is this imperfection everywhere. So tell upfront about the weakness. And about the strength, it's also very important to be confident and bold to tell what are your strong points, because that would help them know that you have done your self assessment, right? And tell me about yourself that is completely unique. You can give I would suggest this thing. Try to grab a friend and have a mutual conversation about this tell me about yourself question. Tell him what you want to say, have some rehearsals, and try to keep it short, and try to keep it again succinct. Don't try to beat around the bush, right? To the point, and try to, if possible, align it to the job, right? This is what happened to me when I was interviewing Cisco. They asked me, tell me about yourself, right? So I wanted to have my job in this networking and kind of operating systems field. So I guided the entire interview, at least that's what I think of, in a way, by saying that when they asked me, tell me about yourself, I talked about I love operating systems, I love networking, I have worked on these projects, this is what interests me. So you can also use that as a platform to have the next maybe 45 minutes or 1 hour of conversation. You can use it to drive in the way you want. I hope that was good enough.
Yes. So we have another question from Sunil. So he's asking, putting the web development project like website in resume is good. What kind of projects they look at in your resume? What's your suggestion on this?
If it is a web development role or if it's a full stack software engineering role, yes, definitely put it. And while putting, also make sure that what technology that you have worked on, right? With respect to web development, there are a lot of technologies, right? Especially now there is Node.js. I'm pretty not so good about that, but there is something called Node.js, there is JavaScript, right? So all those things, try to highlight what technologies that you used while writing this one. And there is no one would say that it's bad to put web development work, but it would not be relevant enough if you want to particularly looking for some backend work. So look at look at the job profile. And also, right, it's a very simple thing again. This job profile, before any company comes to the college, try to open that company, see what is the job profile that they are looking for. It's very simple task, but it would help you a lot. It would prepare you to put right projects. And if they have put web development in their profile, the requirement, then why not go ahead and put it? There is nothing wrong in any technology, but just be relevant and just tailor make.
Okay.
Bhageshri, sorry to interrupt. I think there are many more questions that are lining up. So I think we'll take up the last question and then we'll conclude the session. Is it okay, Gagan? If anything else, I think the students can drop the email to you so that you'll be in a position to answer through email. Is it okay with that, Gagan?
Yep, sure, sir. Definitely.
Is it okay?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yeah, please go on.
So yeah, the last question we are going to take for today is from Sunil. So doing MBA and MS in India and foreign, what is the major difference why all people prefer foreign and not India?
Wow, another difficult question. To be frank, Sunil, I'm not sure about MBA, but with respect to engineering, right? Most of the, at least for me, most of the innovations have happened here in the US. At least I would say they have pioneered in this field, and you would get to know the first person information when you come here, and that's how people prefer them. And also right now, at least with after COVID, everything is becoming globalized. Okay, it's the situation is going to be entirely different. There are universities in US opening up global centers, right? And I think there are a lot of Indian centers too that are opening up. So we are in a very fuzzy situation right now. And the good thing about this is location won't matter anymore, at least in coming future, 2 to 3 years, or say within 5 years. We can have complete global situation wherein people from anywhere would have the access to this kind of innovation, this kind of first grade innovation. And in that case, I think the trend would change. But when I started, the most of the information, most of the latest and greatest cutting edge technologies, the innovations were happening here. And that's the sole reason I came. There is no other prejudice or anything regarding that. And there are a lot of things happening in India too nowadays. So they're pretty much coming up with this US universities.
Okay,
Yes.
thanks,
So,
Gagan. Madam, just a second.
yes, sir.
Thanks, Gagan, for the wonderful presentation that you gave, and it was very informative and very interactive because I can see there are many more questions that are lined up, but unfortunately, due to time constraints, probably the students will be posing their questions through emails. I think whenever you find time, it will be great to get connect to them. And also on behalf of Alumni Association SJCE, we thank you very much, and we are really proud of you that you are really putting your alma mater to the best extent on the global map. So we kindly request when once you are in India and in Mysore, you please kindly visit us and you share your experience in the direct face-to-face interaction with the students, so that they'll be very much eager to meet you. So thanks coming all the way from San Francisco and getting connected to your juniors. Thank you, Gagan, and thank you, Bhagyashree Madam, for making this event a great success. Over to you.
Welcome, sir. So yes, as we've exceeded the session time, we can't take any more questions, but students can always reach out to Gagan for further guidance. I've mentioned his LinkedIn profile link in the chat box. So whoever has questions, they can reach out to him. And the attendees will be redirected to a feedback page. Please do rate the session and give any suggestions if you have. It will help us to improve. And thank you so much, Gagan, for taking out your time and giving SJCE students this amazing session.
Oh, the pleasure is totally mine. I would love to do so. Thanks a lot. I'm just passing the baton from my seniors, nothing else.
That's amazing. Thank you so much, guys. Have a good night.
Thank you. Thank you, Gagan. So have a nice day.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Same here.
Bye. Thank you, Bhagyashree Madam.
You're welcome, sir.